Welcome to another video in this series of modern AutoCAD for land surveyors. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to add what is known as grid to this very survey plan. So a plan grid or map grid is just a regular space, horizontal or vertical lines that will cut across the plan to show the values of eastings and northings across the plan. So let me demonstrate what I'm talking about here. So you must have probably come across what is known as the grid. You will see some horizontal lines crossing the plan area like this. The interval will be at a very irregular space interval. And then you'll find out that there will be some other lines crossing vertically in this nature. So these lines are what we call grids on the plan. So some land authorities, they actually make this as a compulsory before your plan will be approved. But in some cases, this grid is not emphasized. So whatever the case is, in this video, you are going to learn how to implement this, just in case if your land officer make it as a compulsory element on your plan before approval, then you can easily do it and get your work done perfectly. So the lines that run from west to east are usually those ones that represent the values of the northings. So here you have your values of northings at a regular space interval, maybe 50-50 or 100-100 or 20-20, depending on whatever you're doing. Then the ones that runs from south to north or from north to south are the eastings. They will have the value of the eastings. Eastings value will be on these ones. So the updated site plan will look like this after adding the grid lines. So as you can see, the grids are shown in blue by convention on this site plan. And I can turn on and off the grid layer. So in PDF, if you save it to PDF, this is how it will look like. So this will be the final outcome after adding the grid lines on the site plan. So let's move on to do the gridding of the site plan. So let's see how we can do this. But before then, I would like to mention that this grid and some other elements such as the north arrow, the scale bar, and some other ones, there are things that are actually made available in some other flavors of AutoCAD. So if you are working with other flavors of AutoCAD such as the AutoCAD Civil 3D or AutoCAD Maps 3D, then some of these elements, plan elements, are there by default. You just need to enable them and install them. But since we are working with the traditional AutoCAD, then in most cases we have to do it manually, even though there are some kind of attempts to do them in an automated way, which I'm going to show you in a moment. For example, like the grid I'm talking about, you can, if you switch to the layout mode, you can see these lines. So these lines that crosses the plan are what I'm referring to as the grid. So, but we are not going to make use of what is available here, because in most cases what you find in the traditional version of AutoCAD, they are not going to be something that you will like. If you really want to enjoy the benefit of some of these automated elements on your plan, then I would strongly recommend that you subscribe to AutoCAD Civil 3D or AutoCAD Maps 3D. So these are the two versions that will have most of this map element or plan element automated for you within your AutoCAD flavor. So for example, like in these ones, you can do things like georeferencing, you can plot like profiles, longitudinal and cross-sectional profiles easily. You can make volume calculations, you can make layouts, things that will take a lot of time doing it in the traditional version of AutoCAD. So just subscribe to any of these two. You will enjoy it. And then we'll have some other flavors of AutoCAD for electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, architects, and so on. But these two are the ones that are the best for a land surveyor. So having said that, uh, if you however want to work with the traditional version of AutoCAD, like the one I have here, there is a particular tool or a particular command called the tool palette. So just type tool palette on your command line. And then when you open it up, you'll find out that you have different kind of tool palette that you can insert onto your map. So they are categorized under modeling, constraints, annotations, architectural. These are more of architectural things. We have mechanical too, we have electrical. These are for electrical things. We have the civil engineering stuff, structural, uh, hatching, and then we have table. So under the annotation tab, you will find things like the not arrow, the graphical scale, and then some other kind of annotation that you can add to the map. So earlier on, we drew the not arrow and then the graphical scale manually. So if you want to make use of this, you can just pick one of these. Let's say we want to add the scale. So just click on it and then insert it wherever you want to insert it. So as you can see, this is it. You can select it and then scale it to make it larger. So just type scale and then click, then make it larger. So as you can see, the scale is not may not be exactly the kind of thing you want. You can scale it and then so I can always enlarge it to my liking and then place it wherever I want. So this is the scale that comes with the under the annotation. So the same thing for not arrow. You can also put your not arrow, maybe something like this. So this is another design for the not arrow. And then most likely, as you have seen, you may not like this design, and this design may not be suitable for a survey plan. It may not be acceptable, say in some cases. So, but with these flavors of AutoCAD, you have a lot of options to choose from, and you have a lot of designs, a lot of styles to choose from. So you are not limited to just few static designs. So that is that. We can close up our tool palette because we are not using it. We don't need it. And then I will delete these ones. So I just feel like let me just bring it to your notice just in case if you are working, if you really want to go professional and you want to go faster and automated using the AutoCAD as a land surveyor. So just go for any of these versions instead of using the traditional AutoCAD. So here, what we have here is the traditional version. So we don't have the privilege of automating some of these things. So we are going to do it manually. So as we have done the not arrow manually, we have done the graphical scale manually. Let's also do the plan grid manually. So I'm going to add the grids manually. So the first thing to do when you have to add the grids, you need to get like a minimum easting and minimum noddings for your plan. So like in this case, the minimum value for eastings and noddings should be somewhere here. That is at the bottom left corner of the plan. While the maximum values should be at the top right corner of the plan. So you come to the bottom left corner of the plan, where you usually have a 0x 0y on your graph paper. So in the case of a plan or a survey plan, it should be 0 easting 0 nodding. But it's not possible for us to have 0 easting 0 nodding on this plan, because this plan is not at the equator. So we need to we'll identify the minimum easting and nodding here. So most likely this is going to be the minimum point on the plan. So if you select it, at least it will give you an idea. So this is point 2. If you check the properties, you see that the position X, that's the easting, is given by this value, and the node is given by that value. You can also get it from your survey data. So this is the list of the coordinates. For point 2, you have that, and then for point the node in 2 is given by that. So which is the same thing as what you have on the property window to the right. So using this value, you can estimate, okay, the minimum easting. The minimum easting will probably be, let me copy it to the text notepad. So this is the easting. So probably the minimum easting that will go below this should probably start from 355,200. So instead of 265, let's start from 200. Then for the nodding, I'm copying it. For the nodding to be maybe instead of 942,751. So let's start from 700. So this is your easting and this is your nodding. Then we can now plot it on the map. So we're going to start our grid interval from that position. So I copied the value, then I'm going to use a cycle. So after I C for cycle, then the center of the cycle will now be at that very coordinate. So I paste in the coordinate value, and then as you can see, this is the center of that coordinate value. So the value is actually too far away from our plan, but it doesn't matter. We can make use of it as it is. So I'll now use my line command with my auto mode on and my snapping mode on. I'll make sure that the center option is checked so that I can click at the center of the circle. So with the O snap on, I can pick the center, then draw a vertical line straight upward. Then I can also draw another vertical line, another horizontal line, horizontally like this. So I'll just make it big enough so that I'll have enough room to play with it. So remember, the coordinate at this point is given by this value here. The easting is 355,200, and then the nodding is 4,942,700. So let me actually paste it so that we'll have reference to it. So this is the value of the coordinate at that point. Let me scale it. So the value of the coordinates at this point is given by this. So now if I decide to offset at the interval of, let's say, 50-50, let's see what we get. So I pick my offset tool, and then I'm specifying the offset distance of 50. So if I offset this line at 50, this is what I have. Another 50 is this, another 50 is this. But if you look at what we have, 50 is too big for this plan. So I have to reduce the grid interval. So I'm trying to determine the best grid interval for this plan. So I will repeat my offset. This time around, I'm going to reduce the interval to, let's say, 10. So I'll offset 10, 10, 10. But I think 10 is a little bit too close. So I think the best interval for me for this plan should be maybe 20. Well, let's see. So this is at the interval of 10 meters. Well, I think we can leave the 10 meters interval. So 10 meters interval should be okay. So it means our grid will start from somewhere here. So these lines will be the grids lines we are going to use. So this will probably make use of we'll have one here, we'll have another one here. So we can make use of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then maybe 6. So we can make use of these 6 grid lines, at least, or the first 5 grid lines. So the interval of 10 meters, I think 10 meters is okay for this plan. If it is too clumsy, you can make it 20 intervals, 20 meters interval. Well, let's leave it at 10. So this is it. So if this point is 2, 3, 5, 5, 200, the next Easting value for a 10 meters interval would now be plus 10. So 200 plus 10, it will be 210, 220, 30, 40, 50, 60. So at this point would be 260. So this will be 200, 355, 260. The next will be 355, 270, 355, 280, continuously like that. So what I will do, let me copy this value and then have it somewhere here. So since this is going to be my first grid on my plan, that is this very one. So I'll have my text there. I can scale it or reduce the text height. Maybe reduce it to 2 or maybe 1.5, and I'll move it to the first position. So this is the first position. So this is 255, 200. This is 210, 220, 230, 240, 250, and this is 260. So the value here will be 260, 260. Then for the nodding, let's determine the nodding. So if this is 942,700, then if I offset at 10 meters, this is 10, this is another 10, another 10, another 10 meters. So I'm offsetting the horizontal lines at 10 meter interval so that it will cover the plan. So I think that is enough. So if this line is 942,700, then it means the next one will be 942,710. The next one will be 720. The next one will be 730, 40, 50, 60 continuously. So this is how we determine our grid interval. So I think I can start reducing the unnecessary lines that we don't want. So I'll select the whole of these ones and then erase them. I can even erase this, and then now I am left with these ones. So even this one too, I don't need it. These bottom ones, I don't need them. So I'll probably start from this. So this is 710, this is 700, 710, 720, 30, 40. So I'm going to start from 740. I hope I'm correct. This is 700, 10, 20, 30, 40. So I will change, let me change the color so that I don't mix it up. So this is 700, 10, 20, 30, 40. So I'll change this value to 740. That's the northern value. I'm changing it to 740. Then I can now move, the line, the text, sorry. Let me off my O snap. I'll move it vertically to that position. So all of these lines, I can remove them. I don't need them. So I'll just delete those lines. So this is going to be our starting grid, grid point. So I can verify this by typing this coordinate, by plotting this coordinate on the plan. So I can copy it. Then I will pick my cycle command. Then enter the coordinate on my command line. Then as you can see, the center of the cycle is at that point exactly. So this point has this coordinate. The easting is 355,260, and then the northern is 942,740, and that is exactly what we have. So I can delete the cycle since it's just for confirmation. So I can now make a copy of this so that I can have the value for the eastings and northings on the separate line. So the values here are going to be for the northings. So I can make it cleaner by hiding the unit, which is in meters, and then adding a little bit space here for readability. Then this one too, I will clean up the northern value, leaving the easting, and then add the unit and then make a space for readability. Or you can separate it by comma, whichever one you want. So you can see the way we are constructing this. So if had it been were to use the automated way available in AutoCAD Maps 3D, we would have finished by now. But here we have to do it manually, and you can see the time is taking us to get it done. So this is it. So I can make a copy of the values of the text along the remaining lines. I think the text is a little bit big. Let me reduce it to maybe 1 or maybe 1.2. Yeah, I think 1.2 should be okay. Can save. Let me move it closer. I'm going to on my auto mode so that I'll move it perfectly horizontal. I'll repeat the move on this. Place it at the middle. So let me make a copy of this. With my auto mode on, I will make a copy in the horizontal fashion. And then I will now edit the text. Pick another one here. I think this last one, I'm going to ignore the last one. So the first one is 355,260. The next one is going to be 355,270, since it's at the interval of 10, 10. So another 10 plus 10, here will be 80. Another 10, here will be 90. Another 10, this will now be 300, if I'm not mistaken. So 290 plus 10 should be 300. So another 10 should be 310. So this is it for the eastings. Then for the northings too, we are going to do the same thing. So I'm selecting it and then making a copy. So I'm going to fast forward the video at this point so that the video doesn't get longer than expected. So here we have the nodding as 740, 50, 60, 70, 80, and then the last one is 90. So what is left now is for us to trim out the excess lines that we don't want, like these last three lines for the horizontal, this last three line for the. So I'm going to trim out the excess lines that we don't want, like these last three lines for the eastings. I'm going to remove them. So select and delete them. Then I think this top one too for the nodding, we don't need it. Then some other ones that we're going to trim out later on. Or better still, if you don't want to make use of if you don't want to trim them out, you can make use of crosshairs. So you can make use of crosshairs to represent the positions of the intersection of these northern and eastern lines. If you don't want to make use of these lines, and I think that would be the best option so that the plan is not overcrowded with so many things on it. Since the grid is just to show the marks of the coordinates on the plan. So if we have them as cross, vertical and horizontal cross represented at the center of the maps, I think it will be better. So to do that, what I will do, I will simply use one of the intersections, and then maybe probably draw a box. So I'll draw a simple box, maybe just like this. Let it look perfectly fitted. Then I can make use of my line with the snap on. I'll pull up, I'll draw a vertical and horizontal line that make up the cross. So I need to I need to on some of this, like midpoint, intersection. I think perpendicular too. What I need is perpendicular and the intersection. I think those will work. So with the O snap on, yeah. So here I have a intersection. I'll pull it to another point here, which is perpendicular. Then repeat the same line. I have another intersection here. Then I have another perpendicular line here. So I can now remove this box. So now I can select these tiny crosses I have drawn. Then make a copy of it from the middle. I'll make sure I'm selecting the middle. Then I will copy it to other locations. Maybe I'm going to use the intersection, not perpendicular this time around. So I'll make a copy. At every intersection, I'll make a copy of the crosshair. So at the intersection of the crosshairs, I'll make a copy of it. So just like that. So I have one here. I have another one here. I have another one here. I have another one somewhere here. And I have another one somewhere here. I also have another one somewhere here. So I'm going to fast forward the video and then show you the final results in a moment. So I believe I have added all the crosshairs. But there is something I noticed from the beginning, which I would like to mention at this point. So we made a mistake initially. The first mistake is that we did not create a layer for these grid lines. So I would strongly advise you to make a new layer for the grid lines so that you have control over the plan. You know the advantages of having different elements of your plan on different layers. So currently the grids are on the 0 layer. As you can see, when I turn it off, it turns off the current layer. So, and also another thing I noticed was that the crosshairs, we could have used a different color for them, so that as you are copying them, you notice where they are and on the plan. So I could have changed the crosshair to maybe something like this blue color or cyan color, so that we will notice them wherever we have copied them on the plan. But that is not a big deal. You can always work around it later on. So now what we need to do is to remove some of these lines that we don't want. So I'll just select them and then delete them. So as you can see, we have our lines showing up as expected. So if I remove these two, you can see we have all our lines showing up as expected. So all the crosshairs are there as expected. But I think we missed one here. So if you missed any one here, you can easily use the offsetting tool to get the right thing, or we can undo and then copy the crosshair to that position. So let me do that quickly. So I'll use the copy tool and then copy from the center. Then I think the one we missed was this first one. So I'll place it there and then terminate the copy. So I can now delete the horizontal lines and the vertical ones. So I'll select and then delete them. So here we have all the crosshairs showing as expected. Then another thing again I noticed is this. At this point, we would like to have like projection for the vertical lines, and also on this side, we would like to have the projection for the horizontal lines. So I'm going to undo. If I undo, I will now make that provision by cutting or trimming these very lines at this point. So here I will just offset, but this time I'm going to offset through. I'll offset this very line to maybe somewhere here. Then I can use it to cut or trim this excess vertical line, so that I can have the projection to indicate the position of the eastings and the northings. So we can do the same thing for the northern values too. So with this done, I will use my trim command. So I will trim this part of the line and this part of the line. So I can do that for all of them. So I'm trimming the top and the bottom lines so that we have just the inner parts to indicate the projection for the eastings and then the northern values. So I will do this for the rest. Then I will do the same thing for the northeast. So I'll just click somewhere here and then make a line downward. So the line will get to up to this level. Then I will do it for the inner one too. I'll click somewhere here and put the line down. Yes, pull it downwards up to this level. Yeah. So I think that is that. Then I can now delete. The excess lines that we don't want. So to be this, okay. Select these two, then delete. Then I can now cut off this part. Delete. Select this part too, delete them. Then this one too, I can trim it. Pick my trimming tool and then trim off this part. So I think our grid is coming to shape. So I can off the other layer so that we'll see what we have on the plan. So this is our grid. What about the knot? Okay, the knot, I think the knot is on the same, yeah, the knot arrow is on the same layer with the grid. So I can easily make a new layer for the knot arrow, just so that we'll have a cleaner layer for the grid. So maybe I'll call it knot arrow. I'll make it current. I hope you still remember how we convert an object on a different layer to a new layer. So by using the match object properties. So I'll select the knot arrow and the knot end text, then press enter, then match the property to this knot arrow object. So that should do it. So now if I select, I see my object is now on the new I make this active, and then I can off the knot arrow. So here we can see that we only have the grid. So I can remove these two by deleting them. I also delete this part. Yeah, I think this is okay. So these are the grid lines. And usually by convention, the grid lines are usually made in blue outlines. So I'll change the color, I'll select them and change the color to blue. So it's just a convention. You can leave it on black if you want. But in some cases, they will ask you to make the lines blue. So I'll just select all of them. Yes, and then make it blue. I'll select the nodding values too. Make it blue. So that is that. So we now have our grids. And then we can turn on our plan objects. So our plan is now ready and our grid is now ready. So if you notice anything that is overlapping, you can always move it accordingly so that the map will look more professional. The plan will look more professional. So I can see that this text is overlapping this grid. So I'm going to move it slightly upward. So I'll on my auto mode on, and then I'll click and then move everything above the grid line. If it is too close to the border, you can select it or use explode to break it up, to break it apart. Then I can move everything together with the border line. So I'm selecting and then I'm moving it. And so if you move it to a reasonable point, You can now extend these lines to join the top part. So basically, this is how to go about it. At least now, when you are asked to add grid to your plan, you shouldn't have any difficulty doing that. So this is it. And if your land officer said he doesn't need the grid to be on the plan, you simply just need to off the layer and then you are done. So that is the essence of creating the grid on its own layer so that you have control over your map or your plan. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you in another one. Have a nice day.